Welcome back, YouTube. My name is Liam, and today I'm going to show you my little trick to never get a DUI again. So what do I have right here? Pretty simple, a breathalyzer. I picked this up on eBay. This one was pre-owned. It was literally $14 plus shipping. Maybe $20 total to get this little backtrack breathalyzer. I honestly spent about 20 minutes. I just Googled best cheap breathalyzer, read like a couple Reddit threads, and I figured, hey, the backtrack's pretty good. It's a cheaper one. I think it's like $40 or $50 new. And like I said, I got this one pre-owned for $14. So why do I have this? Well, it comes in this little carrying case, and I keep it right here in my car door, right next to the driver's seat. So I always have it. And I think there's really no excuse to not own a breathalyzer in 2025. It's the modern day. It's the 21st century. You should pick one of these up. So I'm going to go ahead and use it here. I'll show you how it works. You just turn it on. I've used it 97 times. I think it's at 97. It gives you the count. Counts down from 10. And right when it gets to about 2 seconds, you take a deep breath. Takes a second for it to load. And check that out, 0.000. Probably should be 0.00. It's only 10 a.m. But why do I carry this? Well, like I said, I think there's really no excuse to not own a breathalyzer in the 21st century. This one was extremely cheap, but even new, they run maybe $60. Some of the nicer models, maybe $100, $200. But getting a DUI costs tens of thousands of dollars. And most people, you know, ideally, you would never drive if you had a sip of alcohol. That's the safest way to do it. But just to be honest, you know, most people don't do that. Most people go to a party or they go to a bar and they have one or two drinks and they're like, oh, okay, I'll be good to drive. But it's really hard to know, especially like if you go to a bar, you get a mixed drink. You don't know how strong the bartender made that drink. It's really hard to tell. I've been in that situation, you know, as much as I hate to admit it. I've, you know, gone to a bar, ordered a drink and, you know, left the bar and been like, wow, that was a strong drink. I hope I'm good to drive. So at the end of the day, you should just never drive if you've had a drop of alcohol. But we live in the real world. People have a drink or two, and you're allowed to have a drink or two. You're allowed to get up to 0.08, you know, BAC, blood alcohol content. So why not just know for sure? Now, like I said, I got this pre-owned. I don't know that it's entirely accurate, but it doesn't need to be. If I blew a 0.079, I wouldn't drive, you know. It's just nice. It gives me that kind of reassurance that maybe if I went out to dinner and I had a single cocktail, I can blow into this and be like, hey, I'm at 0.02, well below the legal limit. I think I'm good to drive. So yeah, literally $14. I've gotten so much value out of this. It's also just a good party trick. You bring this to a party, everyone's going to want to blow in it. And, you know, it does come with spare mouthpieces. So I'd recommend, you know, changing the mouthpieces. As you can see, I have one here that's still in the bag if I ever needed to like give it to someone else. But I kind of just reuse this one because I'm really the only person who blows into it. So it's a good party trick. You'll be the life of the party if you bring this to a function where people are drinking. Everybody's going to want to blow into it and see how drunk they are. And it's just kind of fun to know. Even if you're not planning on driving, it's kind of interesting to be like, oh, you know, I had 2 beers. How drunk am I, you know? So don't get caught lacking. Don't leave it up to chance. Like I said, you know, even if you spent $200-300, even if these were $500, a DUI is going to be 20 times that cost. And at the end of the day, it's not just about the cost or the legality. Driving drunk is dangerous and you could end someone's life. So you should really not leave this up to chance. It's the 21st century. You can get technology like this to know how intoxicated you are. And there's no reason that you should just be like, oh, I feel good enough to drive. I think it's okay. I only had 2 beers. You know, I waited an hour. Why even guess? You know, use technology to your advantage. Pick up a breathalyzer today and check yourself out. And like I said, at the end of the day, the safest thing is to just not drive if you've had any alcohol at all. But we live in the real world. You're allowed to drive after having a drink or two. You're just not allowed to drive completely drunk. So get yourself a breathalyzer and you'll never have to guess again. You can keep it in your car. You know, if you can get them for $14 used, you might as well own a couple of them. Buy 2 or 3, leave one in your car, leave one at your house, bring one to a party. Everybody will get a kick out of it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. I strongly urge that if you've ever drove under the influence at all, even just half of a beer, half of a drink, you should pick up a breathalyzer. It's the safe thing to do, and there's really no excuse not to.